everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. I'll be your astrologer this week. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. This is going to be the astro weather where we're going to take a look at the transits for the week of February 9th through the 16th, 2025. This week, we're going to be touching on Mercury's ingress into the sign of Pisces and what that means for all of you. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and make sure you click the bell button so you know when I have new videos out on my YouTube channel. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday trying to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. Woo, we got a week, guys. I'm excited to see some of these transits. Just a couple reminders for you guys. We are having a special on my relationship astrology webinar, the astrology of you and me. So if you guys want to get a break on that, I am running a special on my website. I'm also running a special on any synastry readings for relationship astrology and compatibility that's booked in the month of February. Now, if you want to be my Valentine, hang out with me this Friday. We're going to be here live at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, and 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing live tarot readings. So if you have questions about your crush or maybe a future potential relationship, come and hang out, bring some chocolates and some bubbly, and we will spend Valentine's Day together. For all of that information and more in regards to my specials, check out my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. We have personalized astrology readings, beautiful 2025 printed calendars that has all kinds of recommendations for each month. And you guys can also see my live calendar if you want to book a one-on-one reading with me on a Zoom call. All right, so first of all, how's everybody doing? You guys good? Things get a little weird over the next month or so. Can you guys feel like that weird kind of Pisces energy that's kind of coming in? Well, you're going to feel even more of it with Mercury this week. So if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I will take you through the 12 rising signs. We'll talk a little bit about where Mercury's ingress into the sign of Pisces is impacting your chart. But Sunday, today, kicks off with a very insightful Mercury Cazimi in Aquarius. If you guys did not catch my Mercury Cazimi video, make sure you watch it. It's going to give you lots of insight in terms of how do you kind of tap into these downloads that we're getting from Mercury. So look for the coincidences that are happening this Sunday. And honestly, to make sense of the madness, you need to be willing to think outside of the box, right? It's in the sign of Aquarius. And this is all about finding like-minded friends as well as being future-minded. So we want to think more about where we want to go. Obviously, there's some hard aspects to Uranus in the days to follow, so expect a little bit of turbulence and some necessary physical or financial shifts to be able to get there. We will see Mars in Cancer, still retrograde. It's almost over, but it's going to be making a trine to the North Node in Pisces. Personally, I feel like this is going to be helping us soothe our wounds, as well as emotionally healing by cutting ties with the past. Snip, snip this week. We might see for some people emotional tensions are on the rise. Maybe we're feeling a little crabby, but patience and persistence is key. I feel like Saturn in Pisces is going to help us zen out, think about it before we react. So we're not repeating past patterns. Now there is a wild and dramatic full moon in Leo. I've got a video out on this if you guys haven't seen it. Honestly, both of the luminaries are making hard aspects to Uranus and Taurus, so we need to be looking for those curveballs. I feel like this is really shaking things up and upgrading our values so we're capable of breaking free and achieving some kind of freedom. Very impactful with that, obviously that fixed T-square, so if you happen to be a fixed sign, hold on to your shorts. Now, like I said, Mercury's moving into Pisces, super mystical, very emotional, very watery, and just in time for Valentine's Day. So for all of you guys who are wanting to write your love letters, this is very poetic, and it's always helpful for like finding the right words, I feel like with Mercury and Pisces. But this is also where we need to center and kind of ground ourselves a little bit, be listening to that inner voice for guidance and intuitive messages about what no longer serves us, what's not healthy, and what's not working. So dreams will be holding significant importance during this transit the next few weeks. And of course, you're going to hear about a ton of people going to jail. This week finishes off with a tense cardinal T-square on Sunday, so be mindful of that, right? Don't poke the bear. We're going to see that there's going to be some domestic matters and, relationships kind of hitting a bit of a snag on Sunday. So there will be lessons revolving around what's best for us on a personal level, Venus and Aries, versus what's best for relationships and how this is actually a turning point when it comes to the past, our home, or our family dynamics. That's this week in a nutshell. So let's go on and get into Mercury and Pisces. Now, we're going to see Mercury in Pisces for like a while, all right? So just full disclosure, this is a part of the weird, wild, and wacky month of March that you guys are going to see probably some of the craziest astrology I have seen in a long time. Long time. It's you guys will see when I put out my horoscopes next month just how crazy it is. But Mercury will actually turn retrograde in March, okay? And it will start in Aries and it will retrograde back to Pisces. So we're going to see two separate cycles, both the first track, which will be partially the pre-shadow of Mercury in Pisces, goes into Aries, retrogrades back into Pisces. So I'm only going to be focusing on the first trek right now. You guys will get a Mercury retrograde video, but it does start in Aries, so I'm going to kind of wait a little bit longer for that. Essentially, the 14th of February through March 3rd is that first trek of Mercury entering into this sign. Now, Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. It's a water sign, so it's sensitive and intuitive. It's about healing the mind, listening to the intuition, and obviously it's mutable. So it's flexible, it's changeable, and it's a feminine sign ruled traditionally by Jupiter. So this is about that inner knowledge, inner awareness, and inner ability to heal. So when Mercury goes through Pisces, I feel like it's a very significant transit. It does have a huge impact on communication and the thought processes and any intellectual activities. So this is where we're going to be asked to deeply reflect on our intuition. Sometimes it has much more of a less grounded than usual feel. And obviously that South Node's in Virgo, so this is going to be quite a colorful transit to see the South Node ruler going through the same sign as the North Node, Saturn, and Neptune. Now, themes of Mercury in Pisces obviously is intuition and imagination. This is something I see very often with people who have Mercury in the 12th house, Mercury in Pisces. There is this sense of intuitive understanding and creativity and being very visual and being able to tap into inspiration, other realms, their dreams, and communication when Mercury is in this sign is definitely more poetic, it's empathic, and it's a little less direct, right? Because Pisces is like two fish swimming upstream. So there can be this over-reliance on nonverbal cues and subtle hints. So we might have to read between the lines a little bit. We might have to feel into conversations a little bit more. Watch for dreams and illusions. This is a huge theme with Pisces, as Pisces is also co-ruled by Neptune. So there's an increase in dream activity. If you've had Mercury transit your 12th house, or if you have it there natally, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's always a fine line between reality and fantasy. And during this transit, those lines definitely blur. So this period can foster inspiration, but also confusion, deception, deceit, anything revolving around conspiracy. These topics are generally running pretty high while Mercury is in this sign. Thankfully, it does encourage us, especially with the North Node being in Pisces, to focus on compassion and empathy. So people tend to be more compassionate during this transit, more understanding, as well as more forgiving. Now, this can enhance relationships, but it can also make us more susceptible to manipulation, scams, and taking on other people's problems and the impact that that has on us, our mind, right? Energetically, what we absorb that we probably sometimes should not absorb. So we really have to put up those psychic defenses, whether you guys are doing your sea salt baths, or you're doing your aura cleanses, or you're just wearing your crystals, whatever you're doing. Things that you're talking about, things that you're watching on screen, stuff that you're listening to, you will be much more sensitive to. And for some of us, it could make us downright crazy. Now, spirituality and mystical insights is a theme with Pisces because there is this pull towards what's spiritual or mystical. Obviously, Pisces rules the 12th house, so it rules other realms. So Mercury in this sign can facilitate deeper connections with the subconscious or spiritual realms. Meditation, self-reflection, journaling, divination, all things that can be incredibly helpful. Definitely a few weeks that you guys want to be assessing and analyzing your dreams, so make sure you crack open those dream interpretation books. Now, Mercury does not perform very well in this sign. This is the challenge, and I feel like it's a double whammy because it's the ruler of the South Node, so it's showing us what we let go of. But for some of you guys, I think this will be kind of coming up, like I said, subconsciously or in a meditative state. But technically, you know, Mercury is in detriment when it's in Pisces because it's in the opposite sign where it performs best, Virgo. So when Mercury is in Pisces, it's essentially like an elemental mismatch, right? We've got Mercury associated with communication, logic, learning, reason, and it's traditionally associated with Gemini, which can be an air planet. So when we see Mercury going into, you know, mutable water, it's basically characterized by emotion, intuition, as well as something that's like a little bit more fluid or like unusual or hard to kind of decipher. So when we think about Mercury, it's supposed to be clear, concise, structured communication and information. This is a planet that focuses on details, analysis, and practical applications of knowledge. But when we put it in Pisces, there is this kind of vague, symbolic, poetic nature. It's not straightforward, and we have to feel our way into it. Sometimes it's hard to find the words. So things that you're going to want to be watching for is balancing the themes of emotion and logic, right? So we have South Node in Virgo, North Node in Pisces. Pisces really prioritizes emotions and intuition over Mercury's preferred logical or analytical approach. So this could lead to communication that is less about facts and more about feelings or impressions. Now, there can also be major boundary issues with this transit because Pisces is known to dissolve things. So with that being said, you know, Mercury's usual clarity and precision is really difficult to maintain. So ideas might merge, facts might blur, leading to potential miscommunications and misunderstandings. I feel like, you know, the modern interpretation, you know, this is like more traditional, but modern interpretation of Mercury and Pisces is they're a creative communicator, right? So here Mercury can almost be like a conduit for your imagination, for poetry, inspirational kind of communication, spirituality, and even religious topics. But I think it really excels when it comes to practicing empathic understanding. Sometimes we can just understand by reading somebody's body language, being near them, seeing their emotions, and we don't even need words to understand what they're going through or how they feel. So this can be a great placement for intuitive exchanges and really beneficial in certain contexts like counseling or perhaps even art. Now for the collective, what I think is going to be happening here is that society is most likely going to see an uptick in activities or discussions revolving around spirituality, art, and healing. This can be great, especially to have the collective kind of on board and really focusing on this inclination towards more compassionate policies and also mental health topics. Now, this is also going to be influencing a lot of people's communication styles. Obviously, public discourse might become a little bit more nuanced and less clear, with an emphasis on empathy over logic. Now, this could lead to both profound insights, but like I said, also miscommunications. Now, personally for you guys, watch for enhanced creativity. I feel like many of us are going to be finding ourselves feeling much more creatively inspired. This is ideal for artists, writers, or anybody who's involved in creative professions. This is also great for emotional sensitivity. You might feel a little bit more emotionally sensitive and you'll be picking up on things that you may traditionally not pick up on. So if you're needing to grab your Kleenex a little bit more, you're watching a sad, sappy movie or TV show, you know, you'll be able to kind of really feel into the storylines and the characters a little bit more. But be mindful of decision making, not only because Mercury is going to eventually retrograde back into the sign, but it's also going to come into conjunction with Saturn and Neptune, which does deal with boundaries and issues with boundaries, and where if we don't have them, then there can be some confusing communication and things that we don't see. And definitely some problems. So, you know, logic has a tendency to kind of take the back seat to feelings and intuition with this transit. So we can see that this can be good for making intuitive decisions, but a challenge for needing more clear factual information. Now, like I said, this is a little bit more significant with that South Node in Virgo. So we're tracking Mercury and what aspects Mercury makes in the sky. because it is connected to the South Node, and it will conjunct Saturn and the North Node. This is like Karmageddon, guys. Karmageddon. Things that we say, things that we write, things that we think, things that we thought were hidden can come back to bite us in the ass. So with the South Node in Virgo, opposite Pisces in the zodiac, it represents areas where we need to let go of overanalysis and service to others at the expense of ourselves, especially mentally or emotionally, right? Some of us with the South Node in Virgo, we're seeing job changes. We are seeing schedule changes, location changes, leaving work, going back to work. And we're also seeing where lack of awareness when it comes to our health habits and routines, how that negatively impacts our mental health, how that negatively impacts also our sleep cycles. And I think a lot of people are going to notice a significant shift. If they're focusing on better health, they're going to start dreaming all of a sudden. If you're somebody who has always slept very well and, been super focused and healthy, you might be feeling like, okay, I need to kind of integrate something more spiritual. Anything revolving around being alone, reflecting, meditating, or just spiritual nature, or even a religious nature can kind of give you that extra oomph. So you have a little bit more of like the mind, body, spirit balance. Now, obviously, South Node is about clearing away. So we're clearing away overthinking, criticism, materialism, because it's in an earth sign, as well as the need to control, especially over all of like life's little details. We're focusing on releasing and fostering more of like a go with the flow type of attitude. But whenever you see the South Node meeting the North Node, or the South Node ruler in this case, this is a transit that's inviting us to integrate our intuition with practical wisdom and finding a balance between dreaming and also anything revolving around doing, right, Virgo? So that way we can have more personal growth and karmic evolution. Now, in terms of the transits that you guys are going to want to watch, like I said, I will be doing a Mercury retrograde video. So this is just kind of like the part one. But I have a ton of aspects that I would like to show you guys really quick. And I will also put the notes in the description below. The first trek of Mercury going through the sign of Pisces is going to be February 14th through March 3rd, 2025. Then we will see Mercury move into Aries and eventually retrograde. Then the second trek will be March 29th through April 16th, 2025. And that'll be like the retrograde, it goes direct, and then it's going to come back into Aries. Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, eclipses, my goodness, all of these things are going to be happening in March over the late degrees of Pisces into the early degrees of Aries. This is where we have an ending, Pisces, completions, conclusions, things cycling out, past life karma, things that also deal with self-undoing. It's hidden, it's mysterious, it's confusing, my God. So watch for the second video that will be coming out at some point. Let's wait until Mercury gets into Aries first and we can kind of see how that takes off. But I want to show you guys a couple of transits really quick that's outside of this week, full disclosure. And I'll probably be breaking these transits down also as we do like the weekly astro weather. So you'll see me kind of talking about this over the next couple of weeks. So on the 14th this week, we're going to see Mercury enter into Pisces right on Valentine's Day. So great for speaking from the heart, great for being able to kind of connect on a deeper level and practicing care, compassion, empathy, all those great things. So I would imagine that there's going to be some sweet things being said this holiday. Then we have on February the 20th, we are going to catch Mercury coming into a square with Jupiter. Very interesting aspect because Mercury is the dispositor of Jupiter in Gemini, right? Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and also Mercury is the South Node ruler. So we know that when we see squares to Jupiter, it makes things bigger. And Jupiter in Gemini so far has been, I think, about keeping an open mind, considering a different perspective, learning from other people, having open dialogue, learning and reading new things, traveling to new places, and everything revolving around laws and freedom pertaining to communications and freedom of speech and also media. So I anticipate with Mercury coming into a square with Jupiter, there's going to start to be the faint whispers of what's going to be kind of exposed in March and April 2025 when we see all these kind of retrograde energies in Pisces. I'm calling March and April like the great unveiling. We're going to see where, a lot of people have been deceived about a lot of Pisces related things. But Mercury is the mind, and Jupiter represents expansion and philosophy and law, and also like the moral high ground. And as all these planets are in Pisces, as they're coming into a square with Jupiter, it's a superior square. So it's squaring from the left-hand side, which means it's basically pushing more of Jupiter's energy. It's trying to get Jupiter to communicate, to share. So we're going to feel like our mind is like on fire. Perhaps this is a day where we're just a little too overly optimistic, and we do see mutual reception between these two signs. We've got Jupiter in a mercurial sign, we've got Mercury in a Jupiter sign, and they're squaring each other at an 11. So it's going to be like, what? We're going to hear some probably pretty crazy things that are going to be portrayed as, I think, conspiracy theories, only to find out weeks or months later that there was some truth to some of this stuff, or that there's confirmation of things that we have been assuming for some time that's just now starting to kind of have this trickle-down effect in media. So watch for that. Mercury is also known for journalists, analysts, people who crunch numbers, things revolving around health and protocols and systems or data or information. So things that have been hidden or things that are being hidden or held back are likely, there's going to be this push to uncover something. So there's probably going to be throughout the retrograde period some kind of expose, oh, don't run that story, or don't talk about this, or people who were, videotaped or they were recorded who didn't know. So we're probably going to see some really amazing investigative journalism during this particular period. Now, on the 23rd of February, we see a decent aspect. We're going to see then Mercury coming into a trine with Mars, and that's going to be at 17 degrees. So Mercury, the mind, connecting with Mars, the warrior. Obviously, Mars is in the final moments of its retrograde in Cancer, but this is where, by reflecting on past emotions, actions, reactions, where we've lived, what we've done, we can make better sense and come to terms with where we can have better mental boundaries. This is happening right as Mercury is coming into a conjunction with Saturn, which is a very serious conversation, sober mind. But likely we can go, you know what, how have I reacted in the past? Does it work for me? Does it not? Very intuitive aspect with the trines happening. And it can also be very romantic because it's going to be happening at a 17 degrees. So this is like a Leo degree. Great for romantic connections, talking to people about our feelings, expressing love, and maybe opening up a little bit more and being vulnerable. Now we'll see on the 25th that there is going to be a Mercury-Saturn conjunction, and you will see several of the aspects now that I'm about to mention happen several times because of the retrograde. It happens first in the shadow, goes retrograde, happens again, goes direct, happens again. And we're going to see that Mercury is dancing with Saturn and Neptune right before Saturn and Neptune go into Aries. And so this is why I keep driving home the point with you guys. This is the beginning of the end, okay? I should make that the title of this video. It's the beginning of the end. We are now going to start becoming more aware of where we need to turn off the television, where we need to stop listening to certain media, where we need to trust our own inner guidance, where we need to say, you know what, I'm taking a social media break. That's probably the best advice I could give anybody during this Mercury retrograde is take a social media break. You could start doing it literally when Mercury comes into conjunction with Saturn. Maybe you say, you know what, I'm not spending any time on the apps, or I'm limiting the time that I'm on things, or I'm going to be spending less time watching Netflix, whatever, and I'm going to replace that with a different habit. I'm going to go to bed early. I'm going to do some yoga. I'm going to do some meditation. I'm going to read. I'm going to do some journaling. And I promise you guys aren't going to miss anything. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on in the news cycle, but it's not really going to be until Mercury goes retrograde back into Pisces that we're going to start to kind of get more clarity, because things will get so crazy. And then when Mercury goes into Aries and we see an Aries eclipse, people are going to be outraged. They're going to be fit to be tied. And they're going to have a lot to say. And so then we're going to have to backtrack, go and get the information. And like, you could literally wait until, the end of April going into May to get some of this information and gain more clarity. So just full disclosure on that. So maybe consider like a little bit of like a social media detox, but Mercury is about communication, traveling, and business. And in this case, it's more emotional, right? And so, it is conjunct Saturn, and Saturn has its traditional ties to the 10th house in Capricorn. For some people, for some charts, it can mean that this is a time where it's like, I need to make a serious business decision. I need to, create a boundary when it comes to work communication. I need to retire. I need to put my away from office message up, whatever. But for others, it could be that there is something telling you, you have this hunch, you have this feeling in your gut that's like, I just can't do this anymore, or this is not healthy, or this is not healthy communication. It is at a 20, that's a Scorpio degree. So trust me when I tell you that if something is telling you that you need to draw the line, you'll work through it during the retrograde for the weeks to follow. Saturn is government, Mercury is going to be systems. It's also going to be correlating and connecting to the South Node in Virgo, which is going to be about servants, okay, public servants. And I don't just mean people on your local community level. I'm talking about all the way to the top. I promise you guys one thing, and I have a pretty good track record so far for the last couple of years of nailing a lot of events. A lot of people are going to go to jail. A lot of people are going to go to jail. And it's not necessarily they're on this side or they're on that side type of thing, because remember, Pisces blends everything together. It's about left and right and up and down and everything in between. And what has been hidden, we are about to find out more information revolving around just who exactly, what branches of government, what politicians, what companies internationally have been funneling money into things that have been fraudulent, where there has been mismanagement of things, where a bunch of jobs are about to be replaced by new technology. I will say that definitely, I think, is a huge theme. But what has been hidden, what's been swept under the rug, right? And 20 degrees deals with taxes. So there's also this brewing energy, at least here in the United States, of just day after day of finding out more information about just exactly where our tax dollars have been going, how it has been directly tied to major crimes relating to immigration, depopulating some people. I guess I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. And also influencing the globalist agenda, and also pharmaceuticals and medicine and hospitals. Okay, these are all Pisces things. So I'm not politicking, that's what this is. So we're going to start to kind of, I think, see a little bit more of a serious tone revolving around some of these topics. And some people are going to say, well, we need to be more lenient, we need to be more compassionate. And the North Node, Saturn, Neptune says, no, we have done that. Look where it got us, and look how it has completely fucked up people's heads, completely. And just in general, right? We've got some people that are just terrified at the state of the world. They think that, they need to run and hide for some reason. We're seeing other people that are like so overly enthusiastic about what's going on that they're almost like mad. And these are the late degrees of Pisces. So mental health is going to be a huge theme here, because we're going to see some people that I think are going to panic or freak out when they start to realize that their reality is fracturing across the board, because I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's not going to be extremely one way or the other. And it's going to be really hard to kind of cut through some of the conspiracy theories, because there's going to be tons of them. So this is why I'm telling you guys, turn off your TV. You can watch YouTube, you can watch, whatever you want to watch is going to help keep you grounded. But news, media, movies, propaganda, it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. So we will see this aspect happen again the second go round with Mercury and Saturn. After that, we're going to see on the 27th, Mercury in Pisces will sextile Uranus and Taurus. Okay, I'm okay with that. Mercury sextile Uranus, I feel like, is if we can tap into that inner guidance, that inner knowledge, if we can sleep well, if we can reflect, if we can pray, if we can meditate, if we can just take time to take a step back and focus on our emotional health and get grounded, we can better navigate and deal with some of the physical three-dimensional changes. There's like this feeling that I get when I look at Mercury in this aspect that's like, let's not react yet. Let's just hold up. Let's see actually what's going to pan out and how this is going to physically affect things, and let's not jump to conclusions. But still, this is a day where your intuition might be really on, and your spidey senses are going off, because you're like, I have a gut feeling that something is going to change in this area of my life. So you'll have to look at where Taurus is. Or this is going to be the financial or the physical repercussions if there are significant changes. By the way, Mercury is trade, right? And the connection and the association, I think, with Pisces is global. I have said this a few times, not so much on this channel, but I feel like the changes that's happening with international powers, this rearrangement going on, the changes that we're going to see with the borders, the changes we're going to see with immigration and the tariffs is going to create a global trade collapse. Okay, so there will be some countries that are going to be exiled, Pisces. They're going to be cut off. And in some ways, I feel like this is a good thing, especially if we feel like there's been funding going there, or there's been trade with, countries that has potentially been, diluting a certain country's ability to thrive and have success. We are also going to see some countries that are going to willingly go, screw it, we're going to go and do our own thing. Yes, it might look like we're cutting ourselves off, but in the process of doing so, we have to kind of start over and clear out so we can become more self-sufficient. And if you guys have seen the United States chart, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The next 2 years, Saturn and Neptune is going into the US fourth house. It's right on the IC. So you will see this spring is the beginning process of that. Rebuilding America, building, things here, creating products here, incentivizing people to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and be self-made. So make no mistake, this isn't the end of the world. This is just the end of one phase. We're going to see that those who rise to the occasion and are willing to take chances will be so ridiculously successful and also free. They will be independent. They will be free. Anyway, I'm working on all my webinars for you guys right now. So I'm excited to talk to you about Saturn and Neptune because that's kind of the vibe that I get from these transits. Now on the 1st of March, we're going to be seeing Mercury conjunct the North Node and Neptune in Pisces. So, we have a little bit of like the past meets the future in the present. Mercury hits 27, North Node hits 27, and Neptune's at a 28. So it'll be like March 1st and March 2nd, right? That this is happening. Well, we have to break this down one by one. Mercury conjunct the North Node, destined conversations, communications, significant dreams, messages, really great time to be focusing on maybe learning some kind of divination. It's at a 27. So pull your tarot cards the 1st and the 2nd of March, get a reading, do some intuitive kind of development. And, North Node Mercury, it doesn't really matter what the sign is. It means that there are new paths that are opening, right? Mercury is kind of the trickster, so it can give you like one of two potential things, and it's at a Gemini degree. Now look at this. Jupiter hits a 12. So we've got Jupiter, in a mercurial sign, but it's in a Pisces degree. They're saying the same thing, basically. And it's right as the sun is squaring Jupiter. My interpretation of Mercury coming into conjunction with Neptune, though, a little different. Obviously, I've seen thousands of charts at this point. Mercury-Neptune aspects for me are people who might have beautiful voices. They're amazing at being able to, paint a story and, really show you something visually with words. It's like an author that can just be so incredibly concise and clear and poetic. But it can also be like scam calls. This can be, lies, deceit, deception, things that are hidden and kind of behind the scenes. And the synchronicity of everything happening this day is just wild. The fact that the sun is squaring Jupiter, so it's pushing on Jupiter to get the information out, get the news out to share. Yes, another kind of like mind on fire day. Also a day where it's going to be like conspiracy breeding ground. There's going to be a lot of confusion, and Mercury does, connected to the South Node, deal with health, mental health, addiction issues, drinking issues, substance issues. I think a lot of like the eclipses and the retrogrades are going to be also globally. We're kind of talking about, well, what's our stance on drugs? What's our stance on alcohol? What's our stance on pharma, and how that's all going to kind of get reworked. And we're going to also see much more of a deep dive into learning more about sleep, the subconscious, or anything revolving around other places, spaces, other realms. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens on March 1st and 2nd. I feel like this is a day where I would not take anything at surface value just because of the Mercury North Node Neptune conjunction. Because Mercury is the ruler of the South Node, so we're kind of dealing with the past, and it's kind of hard to kind of cut our way through that. And Mercury will retrograde back through there, so we'll have to see what happens. March 3rd, Mercury enters Aries. And so it's funny to watch. It's not funny. This is terrifying astrology. It's funny to watch the sequence of events and everything that swings through Pisces. And like I said, beginning of the end, Venus goes retrograde in Aries, Mercury goes into Aries. It's almost like this is the preview before we start to see Saturn and Neptune in Aries, where it's going to be like, okay, now people are going to decide, do you want to be a victim or do you want to be the hero? Which role do you want to play? And what active participatory role do you have to play in order to initiate something new? Otherwise, you're going to be in this like self-created prison, very Saturn, Neptune, and Aries. I don't know. I do think though that when Mercury goes into Aries and it hits that 0-degree cardinal point, because that is a world axis point, you know, it's the very first degree of the zodiac. Mars is direct, Venus is retrograde. I have said this for a long time, and you guys can go back. You can watch my videos from 2 years ago when I started creating videos on the North Node in Aries, and I started talking about the North Node conjunct Chiron, the solar eclipse conjunct Chiron, the Mercury retrogrades in Aries, everything. That there would be lots of things going on that would be impacting our military, impacting men, impacting and attacking masculinity. Not that there's anything wrong with femininity, but it was definitely an attack on masculine energy. And also an incentive basically to make people sick, right? I feel like the next 2 months is going to be that grand reveal that people are like, oh, what's in our food? What's in our water? What have we been eating? What have we been giving our kids? You know, everything we've learned from the food pyramid to how to read ingredients on a box, or, you know, whether or not the FDA is actually really telling us the truth. I mean, like, this is like the great shakeup that's going to be happening. And I think people are going to be very angry. And people are going to have to take matters into their own hands rather than being like, oh my God, why did this happen to me? We're going to have to actually jump into action. We're going to have to initiate something new. So this is that beginning process. And then we will see Mercury, which rules health, right? Especially when it's in Aries and the South Node's in Virgo, Mercury retrogrades and it will conjunct Venus. So people are going to go, I need to have a better relationship with my body. I need to have a better relationship also with my schedule and my routine. I lost my job. Fuck it. I'm going to work for myself. Like, you're literally going to see people who are either going to play the victim, which is not going to work with Saturn, Neptune, and Aries, or they're going to get so mad that they are going to like go and build a lemonade stand. I'm so ready for it. I'm so excited because I'm just like, it's going to get so crazy right before we finally have like this breakthrough. And I'm so excited to see people like wake up. I'm an Aries moon, and I've been like waiting for the last like several years for people to wake up. So this is that turning point where, yes, things are going to get super, super crazy before it happens, but just turn off your TV, you know, do something else, go and create art, go and write, you know, take some photos, do some design stuff, listen to music, find a way to ground out your energy. And I promise you, when Mercury goes retrograde back into the sign, we'll sort it all out. Okay. So you guys can kind of like take a break for a month in March. With that being said, let's get to the astrology this week. I'm going to take you guys back to the 9th of February. So to those of you guys who were watching on Sunday, happy Sunday. I hope you guys are doing well. All my Sunday crew, happy Cazimi day. What is the insight that you guys are getting? I feel like that's probably what this video is going to be. I think that the Sun Mercury Cazimi, or people are going to be like, she's nuts. Yeah, probably a little bit, but it's on my North Node, so I feel like I got to kind of disrupt the system a little today. Watch for those synchronicities, watch for the messages, the numbers, the numerology. You'll see the license plates. There could be an opportunity to have a conversation, a chance meeting, some kind of insight or something that is kind of coming up for you. Go out, socialize, meet people, right? Aquarius is networking. Throw your hat into the ring if you're wanting to kind of expand your network professionally, if you're looking for a job, if you're wanting to meet new people. Great energy out there. The only thing you need to watch for is that the moon is coming into conjunction with Mars. And you're not going to see that for still a couple more hours, but certainly late morning going into midday, moon conjuncts Mars. So it's spicy, right? This is where we get a little crabby down here. Looks like that moon-Mars conjunction, oh wow, the Cazimi's happening right when this video comes out, so that'll be interesting. The moon-Mars, conjunction, looks like it's going to happen right around here. So it's going to be like right around 2 p.m. Central, so midday for you guys in the States. I know we've got people all over the world, so you might have to adjust your time zone, but moon is going to be about our emotional nature. Mars is going to be about our action, and obviously it's retrograde, so we're reflecting on that. So there can be stuff from the past coming up that's making you agitated, making you frustrated, changes with home and also in like the domestic zone. Now, if you want the way out of that, you're going to be looking at the trine to Saturn, 18 is a Virgo degree. What is and is not healthy emotionally? That's what I'd be asking myself today. A great day to like get out your, pots and pans and everything in your kitchen and do like a nice deep clean. Hot water, lemon, vinegar, all that stuff, all the hot liquids and things where you can kind of clean everything away. But also saunas, baths, soaking, right? Getting out and going for a run, doing some like breath work or something that can really release any tense emotions is beneficial. I feel like the trine between, Saturn and Mars can be, if we have a system, if we have a form, then we can achieve the results that we want. We can kind of taper some of the flames a little bit. So this can also be about emotionally getting things in order, at home getting things in order. This can also be about recognizing and realizing what we need to do away with and kind of clear out so that way we have more peace. So you just might be frantically clearing out, cleaning, discarding, decluttering. That's definitely an energy that kind of comes up with 18. Moon will then come into a square with Chiron. So, like I said, try to do whatever emotional work or clearing work or healing work or cleaning work in peace. And peace is not going to be possible for everybody. I always think of Romeo and Juliet. Was it Mercutio? I'm trying to think of who it is where he goes, peace, you want peace? Well, that's kind of also this afternoon with Mars still in a square to Chiron, dealing with emotional wounds, feeling like the outsider, feeling also that we're getting some friction or pushback maybe from people in our home or in our family. And then the moon's going to square Chiron. So there's always going to be that one person, right? Mom's like on a rampage. She's like cleaning the house. She's organizing. And then there's going to be the kid or the husband that's like, well, why do I have to do this? Like that's very Moon, Mars, square, Chiron. Angry, agitated women that are trying to get things done and how it's causing a little bit of like friction maybe for some individuals. But for you, it could be a conflict with a roommate. It could be a challenge that you're having with, a partner. So just be mindful. People are going to be a little bit more sensitive here. And obviously this is in conjunct quincunx, the sun and Mercury. So it's going to be like, there are some of us that just really want to get out and socialize. And then there's going to be some of us that are like, nobody helps me in this house. Some of you guys might see that with some of your kids or your teenagers today. So watch out for that. Other than that, that's pretty much everything that we've got going on all day. So try to keep your cool, lean into that Moon, Mars, trine, Saturn. Find 10 minutes to hide in a closet or like in your Zen den so you're not feeling like you're on edge, right? All right, so we're going to take this now to Monday the 10th. And what you're going to see in the very early morning hours of Monday is that now the moon in Cancer is trining the North Node in Neptune. Perhaps we wake up and we had a significant dream. We're feeling a little bit more sensitive, emotional, sympathetic. There can be a sense of also being a little bit more tapped in intuitively. That's what the water signs are all about. And you'll have that nice trine early in the morning. So it seems very peaceful Monday morning. Still kind of seeing this Cazimi that's hanging around too. So, Sunday into Monday, still kind of mind on fire with information and stuff that's being relayed to us. And then you're going to see the moon shift into Leo, and that's going to be happening midday. Okay, so we are now coming into full moon in Leo energy. Right off the bat, when the moon goes into Leo on Monday, it's going to make an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. So there is some kind of emotional conflict. There is something outside of ourselves where, the collective is purging, it's changing, it's going through some kind of dynamic shift, especially at a 2 over resources, values, money. And then we've got the moon in Leo, which is bold and creative and lovable and enthusiastic. But there is some kind of conflict change. And the sun is associated with Leo, and we're looking at the sun very close to Mercury. And if you notice here, Mercury is going to come into a square with Uranus first, and then the sun's going to come into a square with Uranus. So the ego, our energy, our vitality, leaderships, friends, anything revolving around the collective is making a hard aspect to Uranus, which means it's pushing for freedom, innovation, change. I've seen the last couple of days, I saw a video yesterday that was like people going into Costco and there's like thousands of eggs and people are panic buying eggs. That's very Aquarius, planet square, Uranus and Taurus, where groups of people are freaking out and panicking because they want to make sure that they can buy and, and be able to hold or, have Taurus food, resources. So weird. And making people a little crazy, right? So you could see that there's some like hoarding stuff going on in the news, people freaking out about some stuff that's going on financially. I think that with, this energy, with the sun squaring Uranus coming into the full moon and the moon opposing Pluto, even though you're not going to see the full moon actually take place until closer to Wednesday, as early as Monday, you guys are going to start feeling the impacts of this because the moon's going to make a ton of aspects before it comes into the full moon. So watch for that. But, when the moon's in Leo, we want to be more creative. We want to have fun. We want to hang out with our romantic partners. We want to engage with our kids and hang out and play. And I think that the way out of the Moon-Pluto opposition is that we are just acutely aware that the moon is also trining Venus in Aries. And so that's kind of, these are fire signs. They're bold, dynamic, action-oriented, and also selfish. Fire signs are selfish. They want to go after what they want to go after. So with the moon in Leo and Venus in Aries, it's like, I'm going to do what I want to do. This is what I really love. This is what I value. This is what feels good. And maybe it's going to be more focused on the individual, not getting kind of sucked up and kind of consumed with some of the things that's going on with the collective. I think that's definitely part of it, for sure. So Moon trine Venus can actually be really wonderful for creative ventures, romantic stuff, dates, planning things. So, you're looking for a day maybe to start kind of planning some of your romantic stuff for Valentine's Day. This could be a day that you could do it. Do what you want to do. Don't follow the crowd. That's really what the oppositions with the moon is saying, right? All right, so we're going to see that Mercury squares Uranus today. It'll be happening earlier in the day. Definitely a transit to watch, 23, Mercury associated with the South Node. So where the collective chatter and the internet and stuff about technology in the future and communications and jobs are definitely impacting financial systems or markets or banking. We're going to hear about how technology is upending things, that there's a bunch of people being laid off or changes going on within the government, and how there may potentially be some strife financially for some people as a result of changes going on with groups and jobs, and how that might be partially connected to AI or developments in technology. That's kind of the feeling that I get, because this is about advancement when it's at 23. Shocking, surprising news. We can feel like we stuck our finger in a light socket when you see Mercury-Uranus aspects. And that, usually communication that might go smoothly suddenly doesn't, and there could be some discord or some difference of opinion, and then there's some friction. And these are financial signs, right? So Taurus is more personal values. Aquarius is going to be more about gains and things revolving around, collective views about what's best for everybody, and is what's best for everybody, or the direction that we're going with everybody, really positive for, us on a personal level. I've observed a lot of these squares. They're very similar to like the Bud Light moment, if you guys know what I'm talking about, when there was like the Bud Light campaign, and everybody was like saying they wanted to boycott Bud Light, and then all of a sudden the stock tanked. You may see something similar with some of the Sun Mercury squares to Uranus and Taurus. So like February 10th, February 11th, we can see some kind of movement where there's people super for or super against something, and we're going to see the stock or some kind of something relating to like the markets kind of rock and roll. And the collective speaks very loudly because it's in a superior aspect. So it can mean that there is something that's happening that's connected to decisions that the people have voted for, that they have decided. And now all of a sudden, we're announcing, or there's big announcements about how that's going to be impacting health, or how that's going to be impacting the system. And I have a hunch that RFK is going to he's going to get sworn in on the 11th. So I think that's somehow connected to this. So I'm like, okay, what are like the, Moderna, Pfizer stocks going to do with that connection to the South Node, right? That's what's going to happen. You're going to see that stuff go down low. So that's pretty much everything that's going to be happening on the 10th. Very interesting Monday. Watch for the Mercury square Uranus. Not a good day for travel, not a good day for signing contracts. So just be mindful of that. So as the day goes on, the moon's going to keep moving through Leo. It's going to trine Venus in the PM hours. So definitely a good time for making your reservations, making plans if you're going to do stuff for Valentine's Day, making your cards, whatever it is that you want to do, because the moon's saying be creative, focus on what you love and expressing that in some way. All right, so this is now going to take us into Tuesday, the 11th. And early in the morning, that moon is still in Leo. And now what happens? The sun comes into a square with Uranus, which is why I think this is the day that RFK is going to get sworn in. It's about a change in leadership and the impact that that's going to have physically, financially, and also with food. We might hear some more news revolving around decisions connecting to food or the food, systems, or anything revolving around farming. But 23s shake things up. So when you have a number of these 23s, look at what was happening on the 10th, because there's some news that might spark on, the 9th, the 10th from the Mercury square, and then you're going to see the action come from the sun square. Nothing's really happening with the moon. You will see a sextile to Jupiter in Gemini, so that does kind of promote communication, sharing, social media, traveling, having fun. We are also going to be really needing to watch for the curveballs now that both Mercury and the sun have squared Uranus, because the full moon, which we will see on the 13th, is also going to, on the 12th, the full moon that we're going to see on the 12th is also going to have that same square. So there's this build up into this energy. Now the moon's going to keep moving through Leo, and it's going to pick up a trine to Chiron in the PM hours. Not much else is going to be happening other than that. All right, so that looks like that's going to happen in the late PM. And it's at a 19, so this can be helping us heal through art, helping us heal through relationships, connecting with our inner child, being more expressive. So some of you guys working on some art therapy or anything, that's going to be more about, self-expression or creative projects. You might be working on that into the evening, and I think that that can be really beneficial. All right, so now this is going to take us into the 12th, which will be Wednesday, and this is going to be the full moon in Leo. If you guys didn't catch my video on this, definitely check it out. It looks like the last aspect the moon is going to make before it's exactly full. So this is going to be an early morning full moon, depending on where you live in the world. The moon squares Uranus. Okay, similar to right after we had the new moon in Aquarius, the moon squared Uranus, and what happened? The market tanked. And the stock market is connected to Leo. So you're going to see the moon square Uranus first thing in the morning at a 23, 23, 23. And then we are going to see the full moon that's going to be at 24. But if you notice, it's still a degree off. Boom, boom. If you're a fixed sign, anything around, I would say 23 to 25 degrees, just be mindful that this is gonna rock, rattle, and roll. Definitely watch my full moon video, but 24s are more about dissolving. 24s are also connected to what is hidden. It's also connected to hospitals, pharmaceuticals, drugs, anything revolving around alcohol, liquids, drowning, and obviously the sun is in its opposite sign. And Uranus is also, it does not perform well in Taurus. This is not an easy full moon. This is going to be a full moon that's definitely going to send some people a bit buck wild. And if you want to get technical, if you want to look at Juno in Scorpio, so planet of, partnership, devotion, marriage, we've got a grand fixed cross here. Will there be some drama that's coming out with celebrities revolving around a scandal or a divorce or a separation or something, some major physical or financial separation? Maybe. Depends on whose chart we're looking at. But this is, where the moon is saying, I'm not emotionally comfortable reacting to this physical or financial change. And the sun is saying, well, too bad. We're due for an upgrade, so we're going to have to kind of push this. And I think that emotions can be a little volatile with this full moon. So definitely Wednesday is a day to just be mindful. Now, right after the full moon, the moon's not done making aspects either. Then the moon is going to come into an opposition with Mercury. And the moon in Leo is bold, creative, dynamic, right? It's passionate. And I love Leo moons. God bless you guys. I love to watch the meltdown sometimes because it's just I want to give you guys an Oscar. But the opposition to Mercury in Aquarius, which is very Saturnian, doesn't care, can be a little detached, more analytical, more science-based, right? And it can be more about facts rather than fiction or drama. This is a really difficult aspect to emotionally relate to people. And this can also be a time where it's you're feeling a certain way and you're sharing that with another person or with a friend or with a group or a community, and you're not getting the reaction or the feedback that you were hoping to kind of get. So Mercury also being connected to the South Node is basically saying people are kind of reacting to something that's happening out in the world, and it's causing some major drama. So I'm curious to see what happens there. All right, and then really the full moon is in play. Like, I think you guys are going to feel it like I think it's going to be like the 10th, 11th, and the 12th, but the full moon will be in play until the moon leaves Leo. Okay, so that's not going to be until the PM hours. The moon moves into Virgo. So the full moon's over. You're probably still feeling a little bit of like the quakes and the shakes, but then we are taking our focus off of Leo. We're putting it in Virgo, which is about healing, service, obviously work, responsibility. It can be about timing, scheduling, pets, health. And we're looking at Mercury now. Now, we just saw the moon make an opposition to Mercury, right? So we just saw that there was some kind of dynamic action revolving around friction of connecting information and also, our heart space and whether or not the heart and mind agree. So we're looking at Mercury now in the late degrees of Aquarius, where it's definitely been shaking things up this last week or two. Lots of information, lots of exposure. Feels like everything's just kind of coming at like lightning speed, very Aquarian. Nothing's really happening with Mercury yet, so we can kind of keep it moving. And then this will take us obviously into the 13th. Now, when we get into the 13th, a little bit of like a quieter day, honestly. Other than the fact that we will see Mercury hit 29, not too much is going on. Now, that moon in Virgo is going to square Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, so where there's been a lot of communication, a lot of information, a lot of things and news stories that people are trying to cover, or an emphasis on travel, an emphasis on learning, now it's like, well, how do we make sense of this? How do we make time for this? How do we fix this? Virgo energy constantly wants to fix things. And it also makes us more emotionally sensitive, right? Because it's squaring Jupiter. So Jupiter's saying everything, in Gemini, and the moon is like, can you shut up? I'm like trying to get things organized. Like I'm trying to, make sense of everything or get everything in order. So it doesn't make it easy to work and communicate. It doesn't make it easy to try to multitask because the moon wants to be super focused here. I think that with the moon being in Virgo and Mercury hitting a critical 29 degree, I feel like this can be more news revolving around health, jobs, and how that's going to be impacting certain industries, particularly, the sixth house is about service. So this could be food, this could be healthcare, this could be anything revolving around tech, data, analysis. And so that is somehow connected to this 29 degrees where we're kind of hearing about the future of some of this stuff. The moon square Jupiter makes me feel like it's going to be more about what's going on, at least here in the United States, about this clearing out that's going on with education. If you guys have been watching, now the next task is about, going and finding a way to be able to kind of rebuild the Department of Education, or I guess actually it's being dismantled and it's being turned over more to the states. So I think there's going to be a lot of news maybe kind of connecting to that with the Jupiter square. So it can be about, well, how does that happen and what's going on? And if people are being cleared out, what's being kind of put in there might be making headlines on the 13th. Then we will see, let's see, the moon's going to keep going through Virgo and it's going to start to oppose Saturn, but you're not really going to see that until closer to the 14th. That's pretty much it. All right, so we keep moving forward. Now we are going to be on Friday the 14th, Valentine's Day, moon in Virgo. Oof, that's cold. It's cold. All right, so we've got the moon that's going to oppose Saturn first thing in the morning, okay? And there's a lot of like moon in Virgo should be, figuring out work, should be, obsessing over details. And maybe some of you guys are doing that. I don't know, especially with Mercury hitting that final degree. But the moon will oppose Saturn. Emotional habits, tendencies, responsibilities, anything revolving around our pets, our health, our coworkers, our schedule, hitting a block emotionally, feeling some kind of coldness, some emotional distance, right? Yeah, I would just say it's so early. It may not impact most people because it's going to be happening like 6 a.m. Central Time. So most of you guys are probably going to be waking up after this happens, but still it's worthy of mentioning. And then we're going to see the moon continue through Virgo And we're also going to see the moon come into a sextile with Mars. All right, so it's going to be like a lot of like getting everything in its place, getting things organized, cleaned up, reworked, reflecting on old emotional behaviors, reactions, and tendencies. We're also going to be seeing Mercury enter into Pisces. So this is the day that Mercury makes that shift. Now we're looking at Mercury and Jupiter, because Jupiter in Gemini rules Mercury, Saturn, North Node, Neptune. And Jupiter's direct, thank God. So it definitely means like, if you don't know, ask questions, be curious, speak up, do your research, pick up a book. Like, you know, I think a lot of the Pisces energy is very passive. Naturally, it's a feminine sign. And so I could see a lot of people being like, well, you know, are they going to call me and make plans? I haven't heard anything. Like, if you don't know, call somebody, right? There's a ton of planets in Pisces. People are going to be in a total daze. If you're waiting to see if somebody's going to make plans, if you're waiting to see if somebody's going to say, hey, happy Valentine's Day, can I take you out to dinner, whatever, if you celebrate, be the person who's going to take that initiative, take action, right? Now, on the other hand, a lot of people are going to be in their feelings with the South Node coming in conjunction with the moon and with Mercury in the 12th house. Some people are going to be like, yeah, I'm just, it's another Friday for me, you know, just going to work, going home, watching TV, going to bed. So some people might just be feeling like they'd just rather, you know, spend time in private, or they would rather be alone, or they would rather do something a little bit more low key. I feel like it's a great, with Mercury in the 12th house and, you know, Venus in Aries, I feel like it's going to be, you know, either people who are going to be kind of saying, I don't want to celebrate this holiday, or people are going to go, let's stay home, let's have dinner, and let's watch a movie. Like, let's not make a big deal about it, you know? I don't know. You guys let me know. Do you celebrate this holiday? Are you doing something? I will be working, so you guys can hang out with me. That moon's going to keep moving through Virgo. It's going to pick up a trine to Uranus in Taurus. And that's going to happen in the late afternoon hours. There's another 23. And with Moon trine Uranus, we can be flexible. We can adapt, you know. So I could see some people being like, well, let's eat here instead of eating there. Or let's change our schedule. Or let's do something different. So be flexible, right? Or maybe a lot of people, I feel like Mercury in Pisces, I know one of my best friends has this. And whenever I try to make plans with her, she's just like, let's just play it by, you know, play it by ear. I'm like, what? What do you mean? You're just going to show up to go in and have brunch without a reservation? Oh, it'll be fine. Well, it'll work out. And like it always does. They always find a parking spot. We always happen to get there and not have to wait. It's like crazy. So maybe you're just kind of navigating Friday in a more intuitive way, and you're not feeling like you have to be super perfect or super organized, which the South Node Moon connection is saying, yeah, that's the point, right? And then the Moon trine Uranus is saying, do something different, simplify. Make it real, make it more about the values, make it less about physical, tangible things, make it be about how you show love, right? Did you bake somebody cupcakes? Did you make them dinner? Did you create a floral arrangement, right? Not did you get them the big teddy bear and take them out to the expensive dinner. It's like, what did you create for somebody else? And love is a verb when Venus is in Aries. So it's going to be more about how you're showing that and what you're doing rather than what you're giving them. My food for thought. All right, so then Moon's going to conjunct the South Node. Oh, it's so cold. It's so cold on Valentine's Day. Some people are going to feel like they're losing their mind. I have seen this a lot recently since the South Node went into Virgo, and I have probably a handful of South Node Moon Virgo clients. South Node Moon is known for mood swings, whether you have that natally or that's just something that you've experienced when the South Node transits your moon or when the transiting moon hits your South Node. Emotional clearing is the theme, okay? Emotional release. And this is all connected to Mercury, which is in Pisces. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of broken hearts over people who are like, can you believe they didn't call? You know, they didn't show up. I didn't hear from them. They didn't plan anything, you know, and people being super, super hypercritical of what they don't have. And I would say if you're falling into that trap, you're missing the point. It's more about, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Like they created something, and it's not this like perfect, you know, gift or this cookie cutter card or something. Like it's something that was really truly meaningful and from the heart. That's really what Mercury in Pisces is about. And also maybe the unexpected conversations or the unexpected gifts or the unexpected connections that you may potentially make. But yeah, South Node Moon, as it's coming into an opposition with Neptune, is like the 14th and the 15th. That's a little challenging. So there's a lot of stuff that's being kind of cleared out emotionally, or maybe we are thinking about the past where, you know, some people may be coming out of relationships being like, I wish that I had somebody, I'm alone, now I'm reminiscing and thinking about things. That can happen. That's going to take us into the 15th, which is Saturday. Very early in the morning, the moon will oppose Neptune, and then boom, it goes into Libra. If this were me, if you're somebody who's going to do your like Valentine's Day stuff, I would say do it on Saturday. Not just because Valentine's Day, you know, with the 14th, it's just like crazy. But I actually think there's better aspects that you're going to see on the 15th. So when the moon's in Libra, we're focusing on Venus. Okay? Venus is in Aries, so yes, she's moving through a Mars sign. She's not totally happy there, and she's also in shadow. But you're going to see on Saturday, the moon is going to trine Pluto, which is very powerful. It's great for connections, community, and groups. So even if you want to do like a Valentine's Day thing, you want to hang out with other friends, you want to go out and do like a couples night with other friends, you could do that. If you're trying to get out and meet people, great. And we'll also see the moon come into a trine with Jupiter. So this is much better for socializing, in my opinion. And I don't know, I've become a little affectionate of like the moon opposed Venus, moon square Venus. I feel like that can create a longing for something. Or it can be about attracting or bringing someone in. So look at this. You're going to see in the PM hours on Saturday the 15th that the moon will oppose Venus. So this can mean a chance meeting, attracting, bringing somebody in, longing for something. You spot somebody across the room and, you know, you see the red dress, the red lipstick, the bright tie, you know, something like that. And it's like, oh, it just pops. And then the moon is going to trine Jupiter. So yeah, 15th is my best bet to get out, meet people, do things, socialize. It's a nice aspect. Venus is going to hit a 7, right? And this is coming up on the degrees where we're going to have a solar eclipse pretty soon too. So you might start seeing some of the impacts of that. Other than that, not much is happening. I feel like Saturday is probably like the most chill day. So you guys will get to like Saturday and be like, oh, thank God. And then this is now going to take us into the 16th, which is going to be Sunday. And there is definitely some feathers getting ruffled. Okay, full disclosure, that is definitely happening on this day. So the ruffles don't really start to happen until we see the moon squaring Mars. Venus is still in Aries, nothing's going on there. But the moon's going to start to square Mars at a 17. Drama, children, lovers, romantic partners. Okay, so moon square Mars, hard aspect to Mars is like where there's relationship challenges because of some domestic issue at home, or mother-in-law said something, you know, upset the wife, that kind of thing. You know, some kind of friction between you and a partner over how you're managing your kids, that kind of stuff. And then that's going to happen in the early evening. So it's about 4 p.m. Central. So, you know, late afternoon, early evening. And then right after that, then you're going to see a few hours later, then the moon's going to oppose Chiron. And it's been my experience that I've seen that when we see the hard aspects between the moon in Libra to Mars, and then it opposes Chiron, it's like, okay, there was a tiff and then there was like a standoff. We had a fight. Okay, I'm sleeping in the other room. You know, I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone. Don't call me back. That kind of stuff. So if there's something going on in the afternoon, it can kind of trail off until the evening. And then we see some kind of relational issues and some kind of friction between two people. Very Venus in Aries vibes, right? Venus is very much connected to Mars when it's in Aries. So it's about combativeness, being sometimes too hasty in love, being selfish in love. And obviously squares are the energy of Mars. So you've got Venus coming into a square with Mars. You've got, you know, Mercury, you've got Chiron and Mars still kind of in a square. So it's really bringing up the themes of Venus and Aries. And Venus is at a 7. So it's definitely going to be about where, you know, maybe we're being too impulsive in relationships, or we're kind of pulling people's pigtails and picking on them and thinking that we're being kind of affectionate, but people are getting their feelings hurt, that kind of stuff on Sunday night. That's the week, guys. So it's a bit of a doozy. Remember that people are going to be a lot more sensitive with Mercury and Pisces, especially for criticism, especially if you feel like people are critiquing you, if you feel like people are saying things and not being considerate of your feelings. So as you're getting to Sunday, take that into consideration, okay? Let's talk about where Mercury and Pisces is going for each and every one of the 12 rising signs. You guys know that I practice Western astrology. I'm going to be showing you the whole sign chart for each of the 12 rising signs because obviously Mercury is going to be entering into 0 degrees. So you can use the whole sign technique, obviously, because it's going to go all the way to 29 degrees. This is going to be impacting my Mercury ruled charts. So my Geminis, my Virgos, this is going to impact you, your chart rulers on the move, obviously moving into another mutable sign, as well as my Pisces risings because Mercury is coming into your sign. Keep in mind that Mercury is going to be retrograde. So you're going to see some of the themes eventually, and I'll do a video and let you know when Mercury is getting into shadow. I think it needs to get it up in degrees first, but you'll be kind of backtracking through this area of your chart, okay? Or returning back to conversations or things that you were learning or stuff maybe that you forgot. To make the most of my predictions, you're going to want to listen to your rising sign first. This is going to show you exactly where the communication or the vague fogginess or the inspiration is coming from. And then listen to your sun sign and your moon sign. You'll definitely get really valuable information from all 3 of those signs. And I'm going to start with my Aries and Aries risings. All right, so Aries, what's up? You are going to be experiencing Mercury transiting your 12th house. Mercury rules your health habits and routines, coworkers and pets. It's also connected to your 3rd house of learning, traveling, communications, movement, vehicles, and siblings. So for you guys, obviously you have Mercury transiting through your 12th house. So this is the house before you get to your sign. If you're an Aries sun, moon, or rising, this is a house that is about concluding or completing things. Okay, so wrapping something up. Subconscious, endings, dreams, these are all themes relating to the 12th house, foreign lands, foreign people, hidden enemies, right? So the themes are going to be about deep spiritual insight, communication with the subconscious. And I'm predicting that you might retreat into solitude or mystical studies. Obviously, there can be some very significant dreams that can be coming up. You can be watching a lot of movies. You can maybe be reading spiritual texts or doing some kind of spiritual work. And I would really use this time for introspection or healing, but do not isolate yourself completely. This is about releasing subconscious patterns or guilt as this is connected to the South Node in Virgo. All right, so actually, you know what? Let me give you guys a tarot card because obviously Mercury and Pisces. So let's see what the tarot says for you, Aries. We have the 5 of Wands. Trying to take shelter from some kind of conflict or some kind of issue or problem, or maybe you're trying to avoid that, right? Especially I'm looking at like Mars going through the 4th house. It's like, okay, I just want to kind of have some space. I don't want to feel like everything is coming at me all at one time. You can avoid it, but there are some things that you cannot avoid. And maybe, you know, you're holding off and having certain conversations. I mean, it's been my experience personally when I've had Mercury retrograde over my ascendant and then back into my 12th house and then back to my ascendant that it was like, oh, I need to have this conversation with somebody or I need to say something and I'm kind of holding back. You may be experiencing that, but there's going to be some tension that you're going to have to work through and you're trying to maybe figure out how to find the right words to best express yourself, okay? Good luck, Aries. We've got Taurus and Taurus rising. You are going to experience Mercury's transit through Pisces in your natal 11th house. For you, Taurus, this is the house of friendships, networking, goals, and allies. And Mercury is associated with children, creativity, dating, self-expression, taking chances, and personal possessions, resources, self-esteem, and values. So having Mercury go into your 11th house is going to bring more action to your social circles. I think the theme here is more about being more empathic when it comes to your relationships and friendships. Dreams and aspirations might feel like they're less tangible. I'm predicting that friends might blur into more of a collective and it's less about your individual relationship with certain people. This is also about dreaming big, but setting realistic steps. Obviously, the South Node in Virgo is about letting go of over-practical goals for more soulful ones. And Mercury is connection with the 2nd house is money and resources, and the 5th house can be stocks and trading. So it's possible that you're exploring, you know, connecting with new groups that can teach you about finances, teach you about art, teach you about children. And if you're trying to meet someone, right, you're going to want to go out and you're going to want to be where the people are. So there's going to be lots of opportunity to socialize under this transit. I highly recommend getting out there and mixing and mingling with a very diverse crowd. Card that I got for you is the Devil. This is Saturn, by the way. So I think that, you know, with Mercury coming into conjunction with Saturn, there's going to be a storyline revolving around who you do and do not jive with. And this could be friendship-wise, this could be at work, this could be online, you know, or knowing where there needs to be better boundaries with certain people that you work with and if you should or should not be socially connected. Watch for the traps that might potentially start kind of coming up this week where you're kind of figuring out who is and is not in your corner. Don't feel like you have to pigeonhole yourself to be kind of socially limited to just one particular group or kind of like identity. I think that's like the lesson with the Devil card, is not feeling like trapped. Good luck, Taurus. We got Gemini and Gemini rising. What's up, Gemini? Obviously, your chart ruler is on the move. Mercury is moving into your 10th house with a number of other placements in Pisces. So this is putting a huge emphasis on your career, everything revolving around your professional life and your public image. Now, Mercury doesn't just rule you, it also rules your 4th house of ends of situations, home, family, and the past. So as Mercury goes into the 10th house, there is going to be themes revolving around your career, communications with people at work. It can also mean that you're leaning towards more creative or spiritual fields. Maybe you're trying to get clarity on work projects or what direction your business might be going. I predict that your professional life may seem less structured and more dreamlike, or maybe you're approaching your career in a much more kind of intuitive way. I recommend using your intuition for career moves, but maintaining some structure. Release workaholic tendencies or perfectionism in your career, as the South Node is in your 4th house. Maybe you're leaving your home, you're going back into the office, going back into work, or maybe you're saying, I'm willing to move, I'm looking for a new job. Maybe you're releasing yourself of home and family responsibilities, and after a period of time of being off or taking a break, and you're now kind of going back to work and reconnecting with some of your superiors, bosses, or people in the office space. Card that I got for you is the 4 of Coins. I feel like this is really going to be touching on the Mercury-Saturn aspect, and it's going to be about making really cautious, sound decisions before you jump ship, start a business, launch a business, change your mind about something. 4 of Coins is about being cautious. It's about not holding on to something too tight. So even if you're in a job that you know you're going to stay in, it's about like not feeling too attached to having to work the same way or the same schedule or with the same people, or even with certain like bosses. It's about knowing what you hold on to and what you let go of. So embrace change that's going to be coming in your career or professional life, and navigate this in an intuitive way where you're kind of saying to yourself, okay, I'm open to whatever the universe thinks is best for me. Whatever my highest good is, whatever or wherever I'm meant to be placed is where I'm going to be. Really, it's about letting go of any of the attachment to the outcome with this card. Good luck, Gemini. We've got Cancer and Cancer rising. What's up, Cancer? You've got the moon going through the South Node when this happens, okay? So just a heads up, there is definitely some major shift or change revolving around how you communicate, okay? It's worthy of mentioning since you're ruled by the moon. But Mercury is going to be going through your 9th house, and this is going to be in a fellow sister water sign. So for my Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, super friendly for you. You're going to benefit from this. I think you're going to be feeling more in tune, maybe a little bit more intuitive than usual. Now, with Mercury going through your 9th house, it's touching on your 12th house lord of the subconscious and what's hidden or dreams, and the 3rd house lord of communication, learning, traveling, neighbors, siblings, and short distance travel. So when you have Mercury go through this particular part of the sky, it's really putting a theme, it's putting an emphasis on themes like your beliefs, higher education, travel, legal matters. Now, I think the themes are going to be about spiritual quests, philosophical insights through intuition, higher education, and foreign travel. But I'm predicting that travel may be more about soul searching rather than sightseeing. How do you feel going to a certain place? What do you want to explore? How is it shifting your philosophy or your belief system? Also, communications with mystical teachers, religious or spiritual figures, or mentors can be a theme here. And my tips for you are to explore beliefs, but definitely keep some sense of skepticism. The South Node in Virgo suggests letting go of dogmatic or overly analytical views on life. And the South Node being there is kind of showing you that. It's like, okay, what am I ready to let go of? What am I opening up to? And I think it's going to be a different worldview and a different belief or philosophy about, you know, relationships among countries or different religions or spiritual beliefs or cultures. So something like that is going to be opening up for you. Also, maybe changes in the way that you communicate, maybe considering learning a new language. That could definitely be part of this with Mercury going through the 9th house. All right, so let's see what the cards say for you, Cancer. Ooh, there's some heavy cards, man. You got the Death card. So the Death card is going to be talking about an ending and a beginning. So an ending of one belief system, a beginning of a new. Or, you know, rather than being like, hey, I'm going to drive there, hey, I'm going to fly there, you know, dramatically changing the direction, or I guess the trajectory of where you're going. It can also mean that there is like a dramatic change to your travel plans or your education plans. Maybe that's something that's unfolding over several weeks' time as you see like the retrograde play out the next couple of months. I could also see this as kind of like some kind of information, something you read or something that you listen to that is like shocking, and you're like, I can't believe that I like really thought this was real, you know, or that I've been repeating this, and you're like, what? This can also be really prominent for law and legality, so legal matters or anything revolving around filing documents or paperwork. It can be talking about that as well. Good luck, Cancer. We've got Leo or Leo rising. What's up, Leo? You're going to be experiencing Mercury transit the sign of Pisces in your natal 8th house. Obviously, Pisces is a sign that in conjuncts or quincunxes you, Leos, so you have very little in common, fire and water. And Pisces, there's a ton of planets in Pisces in the 8th house. You know, things are going to make a little bit more sense when the sun gets there pretty soon. But Mercury in the 8th house is about going through a transformation of the mind, okay? So the 8th house is transformation, shared resources, taxes, intimacy, psychological shifts, investments. It can also be about endings and beginnings, but it's about that transformation that is kind of coming your way. Now, the good news is the North Node is there, so you're supposed to be receiving more support. Emotional, physical, financial, you know, all of that stuff, you're supposed to be receiving more. So with Mercury going there, it's bringing up the topics of your 11th house of others, friends, and allies, and your 2nd house of money and resources. So it almost seems like your financial goals are shifting, or you're opening up to what you really need emotionally for security. I think the themes for you are going to be deep psychic connections in the 8th house. It can also be about intuitive understanding of shared matters. I'm predicting that there could be emotional or spiritual transformation, potential for loss or merging of boundaries. This is something you're going to want to watch for, especially as Mercury is coming into conjunction with Saturn over the next couple of weeks. Personally, this can be like password security, you know, taking care of like financial security, anything revolving around your credit score, or borrowing and lending and loans, you know, joint finances with another person, taxes, all that stuff. So be careful with shared resources. This transit can definitely blur the lines there. You can be more prone to financial crimes. And I would be releasing fears revolving around vulnerability or control, as the South Node is in your 2nd house. So it's kind of saying like, you don't have to carry all of the weight financially or physically. You know, you don't have to do everything by yourself. And I think that the moon going through there is really kind of highlighting that and kind of saying like, you know, there is some kind of emotional clearing or loss, but then there's also going to be something that you're going to gain. And you're definitely going to see that as Mercury goes through there and the retrogrades go through there. I think Leo risings are one of the signs that are most likely actually to get some kind of lump sum payout, a generous kind of offer, somebody who invests in you. You might get a loan or an inheritance of some kind throughout the next couple of months. So you're opening up to that, I think, with this transit. How other people can maybe benefit you. You know, if you're somebody who has a business, it can be not just about investment, but are people donating to you? Do they see your worth and your value? Are they helping you kind of continue to be able to support a group or even like a platform? Card that I get is the 3 of Swords. It's going to be one of those days. Sorry, guys. This is a card, I'm not going to like lie. This is a card of grief. This is also a card of loss. Okay, so I'm looking at the South Node hitting with the moon, Mercury going into the 8th house. You know, it could be like, okay, you know, there's a bill that came I didn't see coming. Ugh, you know, or, you know, didn't get the news that I wanted on filing my taxes, or I was supposed to get child support. I was supposed to, you know, get this refund by now and I haven't gotten it, or you're disappointed with what you get and you're kind of like, okay, I need better. So it is possible that that can manifest that way for you guys. Unfortunately, there can also be disappointment or feeling kind of lost or betrayed when it comes to a relationship that you have with a friend, because Mercury is connected to your friends. Now, on the other hand, some of you guys might feel like you're going through a difficult time, you're grieving, and somebody says, let me help you. You know, let me get on the phone with you. What do you need? You know, what can I bring you? Like, it can manifest as you going through a moment where you're having a tough time and somebody shows up and they say, how can I help? It's your job to open up and let people know what you need to feel better. So I encourage you guys to do that. Good luck, Leo. Let me know what happens with that one. That's weird. 3 of Swords, 8th house. That's a difficult reading. All right, we've got Virgo and Virgo rising. Obviously, Virgo, you have your chart ruler, Mercury, going through your 7th house of relationships and other people. So while Mercury is in the 7th house, your mind, your communication is on others. This is your marketplace. This is your business partners. This is your spouses, your significant other. This can also be about your one-on-one relationships with a therapist, with an astrologer. So I'll try to do you guys right. Mercury is also connected to your 10th house of career and your professional life and your reputation. So when Mercury goes into the 7th, if you are in like a client-based business, there might be a lot of business there. Maybe you're focusing on new services or products or things you can sell. Maybe you're just more in touch with communicating with your partner. So as you go through this transit, I think the themes are obviously communication, but more in an empathic way. Possibly idealistic about relationships, sure. Maybe there can be some vagueness or some hesitation in communication with people, but I'm predicting that partnerships might dissolve boundaries. This could lead to deep emotional connections or confusion. Now, my tips are to communicate clearly despite the Piscean fog and let go of overcritical views of partners. This is where the South Node ruler is in the 7th house. So trying to be compassionate and understanding. My God, I've spoken to so many Virgo risings that are like, my partner's a mess, you know, mentally, emotionally, they're going through it, or they've relapsed, or they won't call me back, or, you know, they're hiding out, you know, they won't tell me what's wrong, or they're crying. You know, Virgo, I love you guys, right? You're learning with the South Node transit in your 1st house. You cannot fix everyone. You can't. And also, it's about recognizing that maybe you're at a turning point where you're like, I don't have the answers. I need help. Well, the 7th house, you know, Mercury transit and the retrogrades could mean that you're like, I'm going to work with a coach. I'm going to work with a trainer. I'm going to work with an astrologer. I'm going to get a therapist to help you make sense of some of the changes that you're going through right now. I promise you, it can be a really beneficial time to kind of get help from a third party that can help you better understand your relationships and other people. Hang in there. This is a part of a storyline that you will see with the continuation of eclipses and also retrogrades into your 7th house, that if you feel like you're not getting clarity from other people, or they're not being honest with you, or they're not being direct with you, then there is going to be a re-evaluation the next 2 months of a relationship and as to whether or not you can stay or go, right? But if you're single, sure, you could meet somebody with this transit. They could be foreign, they could be culturally diverse, very interesting, speak a different language, be very interested in like mysticism and magic things or spiritual things as well. Card that I get is the Queen of Coins. Great if you're a Virgo, obviously, because the Queen of Coins is about mastering and feeling very grounded and having a lot of support and making like logical, practical decisions with love or money. But this can mean there's help that comes from a Capricorn, another Virgo, or a Taurus. This can also mean that there is somebody who's coming in that's helping you and guiding you. So this could be like a therapist. It could be talking to a reader. It could be that you're, you know, working with a new partner of some kind. And it can be really beneficial for financial contracts and negotiations and any kind of business related matters, usually some kind of good news revolving around money. So particularly business-wise with the connection to Mercury in the 10th, it could be that you're just noticing there's an influx in clients and communications. Good luck, Virgo. We got Libra and Libra rising. What's up, Libra? You're going to be experiencing Mercury's transit in the natal 6th house. And for you, my Libras, Pisces energy does not make sense. It inconjuncts, it quincunxes you. You guys don't have a lot in common. I do feel like it can be tricky, but if you learn how to navigate it, it can be beneficial. So Mercury rules your 12th house of self-undoing, hidden enemies, subconscious, things that maybe impact you emotionally or psychologically, or things that go on behind the scenes. And you're going to have Mercury going into the 6th house. Now, it's also connected to the 9th house, which deals with higher education, travel, foreign things, mentors, and your philosophies about life. So as Mercury goes into your 6th house, what's working in your favor is that Mercury does very well in this house. Even if it's in a sign where it has some challenges, it really likes to take things apart and organize things and clean things up and fix it when it's in the 6th. This is about health and this is about service, okay? So the themes are about intuitive health practices, service through empathy, and I'm predicting for you guys that you might be drawn to holistic or spiritual health methods. My recommendations is balance intuitive health choices with practicality. Obviously, the South Node is in Virgo, so it's all about releasing the need to serve others at the expense of your own health. As a Libra rising, I feel that. I think a lot of this is also a part of the storyline that you're going to see when your chart ruler Venus retrogrades back into Pisces. So look at what's happened the last month. What have you been trying to heal? What have you been trying to fix? What have you been struggling with at work? Where has there been some issues getting into a self-care routine? Have you been trying to get back to work? You know, I was thinking the other day about something that my mentor said a long time ago to me, and it really kind of hit home recently. She was like, you know, unless you willingly take time off to rest, like your body is going to choose when you're going to take time, and it's going to be at the most inconvenient time. And so I've seen a lot of Libra risings get sick the last month or two with Venus there, and I feel like maybe some of you guys have learned that lesson the hard way. My advice is become aware of like some change that needs to happen where, you know, you have to kind of get out of your own way, and you have to be willing to make the necessary work or lifestyle changes to better your health, to be more productive, to also feel like it doesn't have to be this rigid routine. Maybe it's felt like that with Saturn there, but when you see Mercury and Venus come back into your 6th house, it's going to be about you going like, I have to navigate my life in a flow and it needs to feel right. And it's also about getting healthy and kind of getting situated so you can really receive a lot of the benefits that are going to come your way career-wise this summer when Jupiter is in your 10th house, right? All right, so let's take a look and see what the cards say for Libra. The Tower. Okay, is there anything else? Is there anything we haven't pulled yet? That's like one of the gnarlier cards. Okay, so this is like the oh shit moment. This is like when you're like, okay, well now it's definitely not working. It's been a problem, but I feel like the 12th house ruler Mercury is where you're like, I can be my own worst enemy. And as Libra rising, I'm seeing that myself, where there's things that I know that I should not be doing, but I'm doing it anyway. So I'm going to use the retrogrades to kind of cut some of those habits out. But I feel like this can be the week or the transit, I guess, for the next 3 weeks where you see the straw that breaks the camel's back. Okay, so if you're a healthy Libra rising now, stay on top of it. Heed my advice. Make sure that you're taking better care of your mental health, also your habits, your sleep habits, and be mindful of where subconscious issues can actually be manifesting as some challenges in your health or daily routine. Okay, good luck, Libra. We've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. What's up, Scorpio? You've got Mercury going into Pisces in your natal 5th house. Good transit for you, Scorpio, especially considering it's in a fellow sister water sign, and you'll see some trines between Mars and Cancer and also planets in Pisces. So you might actually fare pretty well during this transit. Now, Mercury is connected to joint resources, finances, taxes, debt, inheritance, other people's money, as well as it's connected to your 11th house of friends, allies, partnerships, social networking, and goals. So as Mercury goes into the 5th house, your mind is on changing and transforming some of your financial goals. And that could be through investment. It could be through what you create. It could also be about, dating, creative projects, children, conversations on some of these topics. Now, I'm predicting for some of you guys, love affairs might be more intense, but less grounded, right? So you could be like, oh my God, I met this person. They're like, great. You're going to feel more inspired, romantic, and very dreamlike when it comes to your expressions. There can also be much more communication kind of going on with children, what's changing with children, themes revolving around, talking about children or having kids. And I just recommend channeling this energy into art or romance, but keeping some boundaries, especially as you start to see Mercury coming into conjunction with Saturn. Now, the South Node encourages you to let go of perfectionism when it comes to love and creativity. So, you know, I think that maybe you're learning not to base your love life off of what your friends are doing, or how, you know, you're learning not to compare yourself to other people, with what other people create, or other people's businesses, or even other people's children. I think that there is a need to focus more on what's going to make you happy rather than feeling like you need to follow the crowd. And I think that's a lot of what this transit is going to be about. Art therapy can be wonderful. Writing music, writing poetry, something that deals with like artistic expression and words are great. And also having heart-to-heart conversations, I think, is going to stem from the 8th house connection, where you're really kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty of what it means to be vulnerable with another person and really put yourself out there. And also just being really kind to yourself and practicing lots of self-love. I think this is really important to kind of boost yourself up right now. All right, so the card that I got for you is the 9 of Wands. I know they're all like this, guys. This is, I told you it's the beginning of the end. 9 of Wands, so overcoming challenges, right? So this is about being like, okay, am I gonna be alone forever? I've heard this from a lot of Scorpio risings. Am I gonna be alone forever? No, you're not gonna be alone forever. The North Node's in your 5th house. The 7th house ruler is gonna go retrograde next month. You're fine. You're gonna see that this is a significant turning point for you. But it's almost like, I think for a lot of these placements, it's like you have to become peaceful or at peace with yourself. And whether that means if you have friction with one of your kids, detaching from that and being like, I'm always going to love them and be there for them, but I can't be beating myself up over that, over the fact that they may not want to have a relationship with me, right? It could also mean I'm not basing my self-worth off of whether or not I'm in a relationship, or I'm not criticizing the art that I make. There is like a sense of overcoming some of the challenges of feeling good enough and being able to finally find some kind of outlet for some of these heavier emotions, right? Saturn. I do think that for many of you guys, this is the turning point where if you felt like you have been alone in a situation or in a matter for some time, you're actually getting ready to find out that you're completing that, but you have to become at peace being on your own. And that literally is like the epitome of Saturn in Pisces. So hang in there, Scorpio. Let me know how this transit goes for you. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this video, but I'm not, I mean, I pull the cards in real time, so I'm not going to fluff the readings. I see so many other readers do that. I'm not going to fluff the readings. All right, so we got Sag and Sag rising. All right, Sag, you have got Mercury moving into Pisces in your natal 4th house. And obviously the 4th house deals with your home, your family, your roots. This is the past. This is also ends of situations. 4th house. Mercury deals with your career, reputation, and your professional life, and your relationships, commitments, partnerships, and status. So as Mercury goes through this house, one thing I want to say is, like, Sag, you know, may the force be with you. You guys have obviously a ton of planets that's squaring your sign, opposing the North Node transit, and squaring Jupiter. So you're the missing piece of the puzzle. So you get a grand mutable cross throughout this period, which means the good news is the tension that you're going to see between you, home, relationships, and career are all going to make the wheel of the chart turn. Okay, I promise you that. I know a lot of you guys want to figure out where you want to live. You want to have more time with family. You want to kind of get more situated in a new space. You want to see growth in relationships. You want to spend less time at work or like less responsibilities. You're going to see that. It's just going to be a process the next couple of months. Mercury rules relationships. So it could mean that, you know, you're talking to a partner about a home and family matter. You're moving in with someone. You are maybe considering relocating for work. There's a number of different ways that this can manifest, but your mind and your communication is on your relationship with home and family, or relationships within the home. Now, I'm expecting there's going to be an emotional connection to the home. Family might become more mystical, in denial, confusing. You may have to confront family members and they're acting like totally nuts. You might be seeing situations with a relative where they're having issues with dementia, or they're forgetting things, or they're losing things. Obviously, touch wood, but that can happen. I'm predicting that you can feel pulled towards creating more spiritual or artistic kind of home environment. So let's say you want to work with a designer, right? I think a lot of Sagittarius risings are going to be decorating or designing their home, and they might be asking their partner, what do you like? What do you want? Or they're going and working with the designer saying, what can we do to change this space? Good idea to get feedback here, to be thinking about, you know, who you could work with, what you could bring in there, how you can create a space that's perfect for you and another person. Asking them, you know, where would you want to live? Would you want to live here? Would you want to move? Should we look at other areas? That kind of stuff. I also think that this is a wonderful time to be focusing on conversations that's going to be healing family dynamics, right? But be cautious not to lose yourself in other people's emotional needs. So release old family patterns. This is the South Node ruler. So you're releasing the feeling of, I have to be responsible for everything at home. Everything is my job. Everything is my fault, or, you know, whatever. And also the 4th house is 10th house to the 7th. So this is a lot of dealing with karma revolving around marriage. So there can be a sense of, you know, feeling like things are just a little bit more tricky when it comes to planning a marriage or a wedding, getting married, dealing with a romantic partner, you know, coming to terms with maybe the end of a relationship and how that's impacting a family dynamic or even property manners. That can definitely be a thing for you guys. 10th house ruler in the 4th, working from home, prioritizing home more rather than what's going on out in the world. All right, so let's see. No whammies, no whammies. Okay, all right, finally, the Emperor. Got a lot of majors. So the Emperor is about handling business, okay? And this could be about a father figure in particular, or a dominant figure within the home, or an Aries. You know, I think about how the retrogrades are going to start in your 5th house, move to your 4th house. So it's going to be like you're shifting away from being like, I have to be focused on solving my family's problems or dealing with domestic or issues or problems relating to that. Maybe you're changing things because you're finally taking control of your home and your living situation because you want to move in with a partner, because you want to have a kid, because you want to have a new creative space at home to have a business, like something like that. There is this final kind of like completion you're going to see over the next couple of months where you're releasing yourself from some responsibility or some long dragging real estate related thing or family related thing, and then you're going to have more freedom. The question is how bad do you want to have that freedom? And what are you willing to do right now, emotionally and physically, to be able to kind of get out of this space where you're no longer feeling bogged down? Saturn, Neptune in the 4th house is heavy. I have that in Italy. And I remember when I had my Saturn return, my house flooded. I had a bunch of stuff come up with my mom. I lost one of my grandparents. It was like a really difficult time for me. But I remember after going through that for about a year, I was like, if I stay in this house, I'm going to like die here. Like I need to leave, you know? And that's what really promoted me, kind of pushed me kind of out into the world. So if you're feeling like that right now, you know, Jupiter is the dispositor of your 4th house. You either have a sibling that's going to help you, have a lawyer that's going to back you up, you have a spouse or a partner that's going to say, let's get out of here, let's move, you know, let's travel, something that's going to pull you out of that funk. And so you want to lean into that and be more focused on where you're going in the future. Manhandle the situation. You can do it, Sag. Good luck. Maybe an Aries will show up to help you too, by the way. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You guys are going to see Mercury go into Pisces in your natal 3rd house. So Mercury in the 3rd house performs very well. Obviously, this is a house of communications. It's also going to be about vehicles, learning, short distance travel, contracts, gadgets, siblings. And Mercury is connected to your health and daily routine. It's also connected to travel, law, philosophy, and higher education. Mercury is going to be approaching Saturn. Okay, so that's something worth mentioning, that there's going to be some serious conversation, contract, agreement, focusing on walking, biking, journaling, breathing, your lungs, something about also like dealing with like a sibling matter might come up through this transit. But as Mercury goes through the 3rd house, I'm predicting that this is going to be like writing poetry, you know, learning about dream interpretation, reading about spiritual topics, and that's going to be much on your mind and things you want to learn about or videos that you want to be watching or listening to. You may be thinking about servicing a vehicle, or maybe you're thinking about planning travel, or maybe you're doing some kind of work on a website, or you're fixing the kinks on like social media or coming up with a schedule. Now, I do think that you want to watch for miscommunications. Obviously, Mercury is not strong in this sign, and it will retrograde, and it will come into conjunction with Saturn. So miscommunications can arise due to vagueness or over-empathy, and this could be with siblings, neighbors, or coworkers. You also want to be mindful of like taking on too much. I think sometimes Saturn in the 3rd house has kind of taught me like less is more. Sometimes it's more about listening rather than speaking. And for you, it's especially going to be with like employees or people who work for you if you have people that you've hired. I am recommending you practice clarity and communication while allowing room for intuitive thoughts. Take time to stop and think and process and collect your thoughts before you respond to things or before you hit send on a text message or on an email. Obviously, the South Node connection with Mercury, with South Node in Virgo in your ninth is really saying that this is about letting go of over-analysis in learning, right? Maybe you've gone to school, you've gotten a degree, you've graduated, and now you're like, okay, well, now I'm having to learn something new, and you're learning not to overly rely on what you've believed or what you've studied in the past because you're learning something brand new. And yes, you have to put your mind to it. Obviously, with Mercury and Saturn in the third house, you could even be finishing up a project or a program that you've been working on, finishing a book, you know, something like that. And I feel like this is about also like being more open to trusting your intuitive kind of messages. Great transit for learning divination. So if you want to learn tarot, you want to learn astrology, you want to learn psychometry, anything with the hands really is really great for this particular transit for you guys. And I would just say, you know, be open to the messages, jot down notes, write down dreams, because that's going to give you a lot of clarity and kind of help you intuitively through work issues, scheduling issues, health issues, travel issues, all of that stuff. Watch for legal documents during this transit as well. Card that I got for you is the moon. How appropriate is that? Listening to your intuition. You can't see very clearly, but you have to feel your way into it. That is the moon, even though the moon can be a little bit of like a, for some readers, I see this as an ominous card. It can be kind of indicating that you're like, I don't see clearly, it's driving me crazy, it's making me paranoid. No, I think that Mercury and Saturn coming together in the third is like intuitively knowing this is right for me, this is not right, this is how I should navigate the situation, this is not working. Oh, I feel like I shouldn't say anything or I shouldn't respond to this. And I think the moon is kind of saying you're kind of going at things blindly and all you have to go off of is your gut. Maybe look for some themes revolving around the incoming Pisces new moon. I think that's going to give you a little bit more insight. I think it's going to be within range of Saturn, but I don't think it's going to be conjunct. Good luck, Capricorn. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You guys are going to be experiencing Mercury's transit in the sign of Pisces in your natal second house. So obviously Mercury deals with joint finances, investments, taxes, inheritance, other people's money, as well as insurance. And the fifth house, which is about creativity, taking chances, children, investments, and dating. So Mercury going through the second house, obviously house of values, resources, personal possessions, spending power. One of the themes that Aquarius risings are going to realize is a lot of truth and things being revealed about their finances, whether that's their spending habits, how much money they really have, liquidity issues. There could also be an awareness of, you know, something coming their way that they didn't see coming, which could relieve them of certain financial stress. But for right now, I think this is about taking a much more intuitive approach when it comes to your finances and your values. Do I need this? Do I feel like I need to save some money? Do I feel like I need to buy this thing? I might need it later, you know, that kind of stuff. And I think it's going to be about investments and taking risks. So some of you guys have already made investments, you've taken risks, and you're like, is this going to pay off? For others, it's going to be about investing more in children, hobbies, or in personal ventures. Now, I do think that for some of you guys, you're investing in dreams or creative projects. They might feel less practical, but if you're mindful of your financial decisions, I think you will be fine. You know, don't spend money you're not willing to lose during this period with 2 retrogrades that are going to come into your second house of income, especially on cars, gadgets, or travel. And be mindful of financial decisions, because with the South Node in Virgo in the 8th house, we're reassessing a time where we want to release attachment to material security for spiritual or creative gain. So it's like, okay, well, whether I get the loan or not, I'm still going to, you know, launch the business, or whether or not they want to support me, I'm still going to find my own way. North Node in the second house throughout this transit, it will make you work hard for the money, but you have to have the belief, vision, and faith that it will actually come through. Saturn's going to make you work for it too. So it's, you know, one of your chart rulers. And I think that the Mercury-Saturn conjunction is going to be you realizing that you can actually make something happen, but other people have to meet you halfway. So whether that's a spouse or a business partner or a client, or just realizing more of your worth and your value, maybe charging more for a service or for a product, it's a part of the storyline of being able to kind of accumulate more wealth and feel a little bit more financially strong. All right, so hopefully that's helpful for you guys. You've got the 4 of Wands. So temporary spaces, enjoying yourself, indulging in pleasure, having a good time, and having fun. Certainly I could see that with the connection to the 5th house. You might be like, you know, money's tight, but screw it. I'm gonna go out tonight and have fun. Or, things are challenging right now financially, but I'm still gonna make sure that my kids can, go and play their sports, or that, I'm still able to take a small road trip, even though I can't do like a big trip right now. There are some things that you'll be willing to invest in because you really want to be in the moment. And there's also this awareness that money is a flow. It's like an energy, right? It comes and it goes. And if you're holding on to it too tightly with Saturn and Neptune in the second, then it's hard to let money in. But when it's also just kind of going out, like there's a hole in the bucket, then you're not ever really going to be able to hold on to anything like tangibly. So the retrogrades, I think, are going to be about finding that middle ground. Mercury is coming in, providing you with solutions and opportunities to be able to do things that you want to do, and still kind of feel like you're able to kind of, I think, balance and stabilize your resources at the same time. Things worth celebrating also financially. Good luck, Aquarius. And we've got none other than Pisces and Pisces rising. I swear you guys are like the star for the next month. How does it feel? Ironically, a lot of like my Pisces friends that I can think of are all like MIA, all of them, even the Pisces moons. They're just kind of like, I'm like, where are you? They're in like a foreign country, or they're like hiding out somewhere. So it's been kind of interesting to watch that. All right, Pisces. So you have got Mercury entering into your sign. So you have been past the megaphone. Although you're not going to be entirely too loud, it looks like you're reevaluating something that you want to share in the next coming weeks. And Mercury is associated with your 7th house of clients, relationships, partnerships, one-on-one relationships, spouses, and family, home, domestic, and roots, okay? So this could be communicating with family, communicating with partners, communicating with family from the past, partners from the past. That can be kind of coming up. And just feeling a little bit more in touch with the relationship with yourself. Maybe knowing a little bit more clearly in the coming weeks, who do I want to be with? Who am I? Where do I want to live? That kind of stuff. So first house is self and identity. And when you have your 7th house ruler in the first, you can attract partners in like that, especially when the South Node's in your 7th house. You might find that partners from the past are calling you, checking in, lurking your profiles, wanting to reconnect. People you've worked with as well. Old clients can come back. And I think with Mercury in the first, there's a heightened sense of intuition about personal identity and a very dreamy sense of like self-expression. I'm predicting that you might feel a little less defined, a little bit more fluid in how like you're presenting yourself or communicating or talking. You might feel like you're just like channeling or downloading stuff, reading the room, reading people to filth, especially with Mercury's connection to the 7th and the South Node. And this is about embracing, this time to really explore different facets of your identity without judgment. Also, given the connection to the South Node in the 7th, you're letting go of the focus of self-criticism. And you can feel like, other people have been very critical of you, or partners are very critical of you. And you're like, I don't care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to, continue to read my cards and, tap into my intuition, or I'm going to kind of continue to do my spiritual practice, or travel, or do whatever I feel like I need to do more so intuitively, even if my relationships or my family think that, it's kind of crazy, right? And you're going to find with retrogrades in your first house, also with a solar eclipse that's going to be coming in your 2nd house, you're redefining who you are and what you need, and not basing that off of what other people think, what other people want, what other people have to say. You're like, I don't care about that. So it's actually a really great transit for you guys. Maybe just be mindful that it is in shadow. So obviously, trying to jump in and out of relationships, can go one of two ways. Trying to suddenly move or go back home, or, reconnect with people from the past, that can go back both ways. So there's nothing that's like permanent. The only thing that I think I would really focus on is, who am I? What do I want? What do I have to say? How do I feel? And you may feel like it's difficult to find the words, but likely you're going to find that there is like this turning point over the next couple of weeks where you can kind of better express yourself and realize what it is that you want and relay that to other people in your life. Okay? All right. And the card that I get for you is the Queen of Cups. Perfect card for Pisces and Pisces rising. I feel like this is super helpful. Obviously, as a water sign, this could be you, but it could also be a Cancer or another Pisces or a Scorpio that's helping you along the way. Somebody who's really caring, compassionate, nurturing. But I think this is getting in touch with the heart of the matter, really listening to your gut and being like, what is it that I want? What's going to make me happy? What do I love? And romanticizing your life, who you are, what you could look like, what kind of life you could lead, where you could live, who you could be in a relationship with. All of this starts with you. So I feel like you're kind of more in tune with that the next couple of months, to be able to make yourself the top priority. And like, man, North Node Saturn in your chart, I mean, all in your first house if you're a Pisces rising. So I'm giving you like the green light to really make it be about you right now. And I think if you follow that, it's going to lead you to the places that you ultimately really want to be. I hope that's helpful for you guys. Thank you for listening to my weekly rambling on Mercury and Pisces. Let me know, what do you guys think about this transit? What are you seeing? I get a total kick out of reading your guys' comments throughout the week. Everybody's always coming back and leaving me comments about stuff that I talk about that happens. You guys should also follow me on X. I'm at BTV Astro. I'm always on there posting about stuff and sharing things. I created a fun little Venus in Aries, Venus retrograde bingo sheet. So I'm kind of checking things off as they're kind of happening in real time. So if you guys want to follow that, you should. Don't forget to join me here on Friday. I'm going to be here for Valentine's Day. Be my Valentine and come get a reading. I'll be doing live tarot readings on the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for your likes, your comments, your shares. Please consider sharing this and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And let me know what's going on with the Mercury transits in Pisces in your chart. For more information about me and my work, check out beyondtheveiltarot.com. I hope you guys have an awesome week, a great Valentine's Day, and I will catch you all back here next week. Take care.